born an athlete, you'll die an athlete. It's in your DNA.
You're an athlete. Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes. Welcome, athletes, into another episode of the Gym Closet. I'm here with Amber today.
Hello.
Just Amber can join us because,
Amber.
well, not just Amber. Never
okay.
just
Oh,
Amber.
not just. Okay, thank you for clearing
But
that up.
only Amber can join us today because my theory, I think, is reigning true that iPhones suck. Because
Amen.
we both have Androids, and we've both had the same phones for probably 4 years.
Maybe.
It has to be at least 4.
It goes, time flies, because, like, I always dread getting a new phone, because then you have to transfer everything over. And then you have to learn everything
Yeah, I don't
new.
want to ever get a new phone.
So I never want to get a new phone, but we always get crap for not having an a iPhone. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Time flies,
So-
but it's at least been probably 3 years. I don't know.
So at least 3 years. So Jordan can't join us today because his iPhone is broken, and he has a new one coming to him in the mail on Friday. So we're going to probably record another episode for next week with him at the end of this week. And Dan, I think Dan has an iPhone.
I think he does.
So Dan can't jump on because his phone just ultimately broke when we were trying to get on, and he can't call in. So both iPhones are down, and after 4 years, our Android Galaxy,
Still kicking.
what is it, Galaxy?
No. Galaxy 9s. 8 plus.
Something.
8
yeah,
pluses
8s.
or something.
They're old. So
Kids
and
drop
they're
these
still-
things
they're
every
still
day.
cooking.
They get on there. They
Yeah.
mess with them. But we're still cooking.
yeah, they're still cooking. So I'm getting text messages now from Dan who let's see what he says. Oh, he can't see the Hangout anyway. I'm going to blame that on the iPhone. But anyway, so today is going to be a relatively quick one. We wanted to talk about the words of the week, kind of check in with everybody, and hopefully everybody's week is going well. Today is Tuesday, so we'll have this out on Wednesday or Thursday. But we are in, week 5 of quarantine now? And it's kind of, I don't know about everyone else, but it kind of is starting to feel like normal again, which I'm hoping that that we don't have too much longer, because again, I'm missing the gym, missing seeing all of your faces, and missing kind of the competition and just the feel of training sessions going on and stuff. But we do also understand that, the world is different now than it was 5 weeks ago, which is interesting. And I was listening to a lot of people talk about kind of what's going to be the changes that will continue on throughout this, that, our handshakes a thing of the past, are, high fives and those things a thing of the past. And it's interesting to think about, what we will see as a continued change through that will kind of last into the future. And it's one of the things that it's really cool, because the way that we do our training is already kind of set to make some of these adjustments. We already have limited our training sessions to make sure that we don't overpopulate. We did that in the past to make sure that all of our athletes got the attention, got the coaching that they deserve, and make sure that our coaches can keep a good eye on everybody and make sure that everybody's doing everything correctly. But then we're almost made for the adjustment that, regardless of what the numbers might be, we can make that adjustment. We can train the same way that we've been training in the gym when we're able to come back, even if those numbers have to adjust. As far as, I know before we closed, we talked about, we had to limit everybody to 10. Initially it was 30, and then it got down to 10. I think we had 1 day of 10.
Yeah.
groups attend in the training sessions, and then we ultimately had to shut the doors. But, if those things are put into place, I don't think that it really affects our training, which is really cool. We may have to have some adjustments in times where we don't have any overlap, and we're going to do, all the necessary things to make sure that everybody's safe and that there is still that social distancing when we come back. But we're super excited to start planning for coming back and kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, whether it's there or not. We might be making up the light at the end of the tunnel. Who knows how long this is going to go for? But that's kind of what we've been doing on a daily basis, is preparing the gyms and the training sessions and what we might call our small group performance training. We might make some adjustments for everybody, because it's super important that when we're able to come back, that everybody's comfortable and everybody knows they're safe, and that we can get back to what is going to be our future normal, and so that's kind of the cool thing with what we got there. But I wanted to talk, we didn't have a podcast last week. So last week our word of the week was gratitude. And so I wanted to talk a little bit about gratitude. Dan we got a video up of Dan, so check out our YouTube, that kind of explains some of what he had to talk about with gratitude, which was an awesome video. Jump on there and check that out. But, our gratitude, we also had a homework assignment for Dan to list 5 things that we are thankful for, even in this time, because this and these kind of build on each other, as we've talked about. But this is something that if we change our perspective and we look at the things that we are thankful for, then it really brightens the outlook on all of the situation. And I had mentioned to you today, Am, that like I was super thankful, and the kids tonight were just awesome. They were kind of just
That's
hilarious.
always a good,
right? Yeah,
that always puts you in a good mood.
Right. Yeah. So the kids were like hilarious tonight, and I was just thinking in my head, I was like, you know what? Like, I'm super glad that if I have to be quarantined, that I'm quarantined with this group, my family, this group of people. Like, obviously we chose our family, and that's, something that we get to do in this life. But I looked at everything and I was like, I'm really enjoying the extra time that I get to spend with my family, and not having to work out of the house as often, and being able to eat dinner with the family. I think we're going on a couple weeks of solid, at least being in the same room. We might not be all eating like the same stuff, depending on what the night is, but but we are, all in the same room, and we're all hanging out while we're eating dinner, which for us really has not happened too much previous to that. And it's something that I think we're going to strive for a couple times a week, one time a week, once we get back to working in the gyms. But
I mean, that's something I've been thinking about a lot too, is I feel like sometimes in life we get so caught up in these rituals of waking up, going to work, coming home, giving the kids a bath, going to bed, waking up, doing it at the same time. And I'm a religious person, and I don't even know if we can talk about this on the podcast, because this hasn't gone there in the past. But we were watching, with just Easter happening this last weekend, and we were watching everything online. I'm like, maybe this is a way for just people to sit back, and God's way of saying, listen, there's a lot of unfortunate things happening in the world right now, with people getting sick and people passing away and stuff. Like, that is terrible, right? We don't wish that upon anyone, but maybe it's just a time for us to really sit back and appreciate the things that in life that matter the most, like spending time with your family, and not just getting so caught up in work and the day-to-day activities that take us away from our focus on what's most important right now. And I'm not about global warming and all that stuff, but how you hear these things of like the water changing because there's not as much pollution. And I mean, you can probably go into this a little bit deeper than I can, but it just makes you think about things a little bit deeper than just the outside of, just the day-to-day activity, and I don't know, like, I've been thinking about that a lot more.
I think for me, it comes in the kind of the way of I am 100% always worried about progress when, whether it come from work, whether it come from my goals, physically in the gym, whatever the case might be. I'm always so
And I think
set on
kids
progress.
too, and like
Yeah, I mean everything.
Like
We're always
it's everything.
I think no matter what, I'm always about progress and looking towards the next thing, which I don't think is all bad, but I think that it takes away from living
in the
moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I think this has really there's shit else that we can do but live in the moment at this time.
Yeah.
And so I think this really has forced us, and that's another thing that I'm very thankful for, and that, that I have gratitude for is, the fact that I don't have to necessarily worry today about trying to grow the business, trying to grow to new locations outside of Des Moines, trying to do X, Y, and Z to progress everything, and thinking about the future so much that what I'm working on every day before this was always like things for the future, like setting things up, working towards the future, even inside of our gyms locally.
And I feel like, but the thing about this whole, sorry to interrupt you, but I feel like the things, we can still do that now, but the pressure's off, right? Like, it's just a weird feeling. Like, you're still working on those things,
right,
but there's not pressure to do it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I still see you do those things, but it's not like there's as high as pressure as what there was when we were doors open going. Does that make sense?
Yeah. And it's interesting because, it's almost just because there's this uniting factor with everyone, that everybody's on the same page right now of almost shutdown mode, that we're still planning for the future and we're still doing those things, but we're doing it in a way that we're doing it while we're sitting on the couch together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's kind of the change, I think, is the community that increases during this time, and we can kind of look at each other and we can say, okay, take a break and take the kids to the park and take a walk. You know what I mean? And we just go out to the backyard and kick the soccer ball around a little bit. Okay, yeah, cool. Let's do that for a half hour, and we can come back and answer emails and stuff after that. And so I think that's kind of cool to be able to have that outlet almost, and that time together, I think, is big.
And I'm sure a lot of families feel that same way, and I hope you do. Like, if you work in corporate America, where you're in the banking industry or something like that, where you don't have, as high of a demand job as the people in the healthcare industry. Because, like, right now I give gratitude, going back on our word last week, to those people in the healthcare, because they probably don't have the same feelings as we do right now.
Definitely.
Like, that's a whole nother high level job that they're dealing with right now. And, our heart goes out to them, because we thank them for doing what they're doing. And I can't even imagine the stress that comes along with, am I going to go into work today and be exposed to this? Because you're exposing yourself to hundreds, if not thousands, of people that have stepped foot into there, and you don't know if you're going to come home and give that to your family. And, I think about that too, and my gratitude of how thankful I am for what we have, because say you were a doctor and you went in every day and you came home not knowing if you're going to give that to our family. Like, it's just a crazy thing. And I just love these words of the week, because it puts into perspective of how different our lives can be when you're not living in that moment. And It's not to say that nothing's going to change in the future, but we'll always come back on this and be able to relate it to some part of our lives.
I think you have to, just like any lesson or any season in your life, I think you have to take what you can and learn from it and take actionable steps. And we've talked about this 100 times on this podcast, is take actionable steps to continue doing the things that make you more happy during this time, and try to hang on to those. And then, if you can learn something about yourself, or you can learn a new skill or anything like that you're doing with some of this extra time, then to take that into, I almost think about it as like taking it into the real world when we're when we're out of this quarantine. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? But taking those new skills, or taking that new appreciation, or taking new goals. And one of my goals, and I've talked about family goals on here as well, but one of my goals now is to sit and have dinner with each other, you know, not just on a weekend, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And trying to make it a priority of ours to have some of that family time where, you know, on a summer night we can go for a walk and then eat dinner together, you know, and that's something that I want to continue, that we've been lucky enough to have during this time,
Right.
you know.
And I mean, we love what we do, so when we don't get to eat dinner together, we don't think of it as like a negative thing, I guess. It's just our life, right? It's just like, it's our routine and whatever. Like, I don't think like,
And I think like
sometimes, yes, like I would love to have us all together, but we absolutely love what we do. So like when I'm at the gym at 7:30 on a Tuesday night or Wednesday night, whatever night, I forget even what day it is or what day I'm at the gym before or whatever. But I didn't look at it like I'm missing out on family time. I knew that I was where I was supposed to be at that moment, and I loved it. But then when Sunday rolls around, you're like, damn, you know, we only really had 2 nights together a week, which is fine because I know it never. I think the thing about, you want to have the structure of, okay, every night you want to be this perfect family. We're going to eat dinner together at 5 p.m., 6 p.m., 5 nights a week. But when kids get involved in sports and choir, like just, anything, ultimately, like, I don't think everybody has that perfect family of let's eat dinner at 5 o'clock at night, you know, when everyone's so involved in other things. It's like you grab dinner on the go and everything. So I don't know.
No, I agree. I think,
but it's nice though, having that family time, especially for walks at 4 o'clock in the afternoon when we're going to go do that. But, you know, we love so much what we do that I don't think it's ever,
I think that's why we kind of turn into workaholics where, you know, a lot of times our conversations at home we're still at work. You know what I mean? Like our conversations when we get home, if something happened at the gym, the conversation when we're both home, we're still working for the next couple hours.
We probably need to get better at.
Right. We definitely do.
Right.
I think so. Yeah. Yeah. So that's kind of the gratitude that we wanted to talk about. And I think that listing and actually writing down, taking an actionable step and writing down, you know, like Dan gave us all homework last week, write down 5 things that you're grateful for during this time. And it will spread a lot of light and kind of open your eyes to changing your perspective, which was 2 weeks ago. And then this week is effort. And that kind of goes into how you push yourself in anything in life. And that's, you know, that kind of goes, one of the examples can be the effort that you have to put in to continue some of the skills, or when life gets hectic again and you're back at work full time and you're doing all this stuff, how am I going to I'm going to have to put effort in if I'm going to try to have a family meal each week. Like there's things that your goals that you have to put effort into and have actionable steps to get there. The other thing, you know, effort's a really dynamic word with it, which I love. But the thing that I think about with effort is kind of it kind of goes back to the old saying, and I don't know, I'm going to butcher this quote, but it's, is it, work beats talent when talent doesn't work, or something like that? Amber's looking it up, so we'll see if that's the actual quote or something like that. That's kind of what I remember of it. But
hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work hard.
There we go. Yeah. So that's basically kind of the work ethic, which is ultimately your effort, right? So that's kind of the quote that I always think about when I think about effort is, you know, there's a lot of people that are very talented out there, and whether it comes to sports, work, the gym, you know, being an athlete inside and outside of the gym, like we talk about all the time, those things, that effort is what can separate you from someone that maybe even a lot more talented than you in whatever you're doing, but the effort that you put forward can separate you in a job, in whatever you're doing, to really push forward. And that effort really is brought on by yourself. Like the other thing that I want to kind of get into is the another kind of cliche quote, but it's what is it? Pressure creates diamonds. Now I'm looking at Amber to Google all this shit, but like something like pressure creates diamonds or whatever, whatever. Basically, the fact that in order to you have to challenge yourself to basically get as much out of yourself as possible, and so you're never gonna get where you want to be if you just remain in your comfort zone all the time. You rely on, what you don't you don't put effort into growing. You don't put effort into doing things that are difficult and that require effort. That's the biggest thing is if you can put yourself in a situation that requires effort, then you know that you're going to get something at the end of the day. You might not even succeed at that specific task, but if you put effort in, that task required effort, you know that you got better one way or another. So maybe, and just to really dumb it down, maybe my task is jumping 48 inches or on a really high box jump, right? Well, I put effort into training to increase my vertical to get to that jump. And whether I get to that jump or not, I've improved my vertical. I've improved myself physically. And that goes to anything that you do. The journey and the effort put into it during that time is going to elevate yourself in that activity, even if you fall short of what the ultimate goal might have been, right? I might never jump that high, but I'm jumping higher than I did day one because I put the effort in. And that's the big thing, that you can't always measure yourself by the end result, but a lot of times you can measure yourself by the middle result, where you actually ended up because of the effort that you put in. And a lot of times it steers you, like in business, a lot of times it steers you in weird directions that you would have never thought that you would be in, and I think I've been putting a lot of effort into screen printing and learning that kind of stuff, and I never thought that I'd be doing any of that, but It's kind of cool to have that skill to ultimately supplement the other stuff that we're doing, and help out the business in that regard. But that's something that I've put effort in that I never even thought I would have. But the fact that I've just put the work in to learn that skill is kind of something cool. And I don't think that, and again, that's something I'm grateful for with this quarantine, that I don't think I would have ever had that time to put in if it wasn't for this time that I can actually do the physical skill.
It's crazy you say that because, well, first, like every podcast you listen to, like I'm all about personal development and growth and growing. And, sometimes being a business owner and a stay-at-home mom, like I wasn't able to do that personal growth as much as I wanted because there's just a lot of other things that took up my time. And now that you're home, it's not easier, but like we have that balance more of like, okay, you can take the kids, I can go do my thing, like I can go work out, and then I can listen to a podcast or whatever. But if you listen to any podcast by some of the best known names, of motivation, they're all going to talk about failure. And so that kind of reminds me of failure, like effort and failure. So if you don't fail at something, like you're not growing as a person either. So
right.
Because that's the only way you're going to learn. And like might be a little thing, but this morning, I lost sleep last night over the effort I was putting into my workout for our athletes today.
Yeah.
So
you're up.
There was like different movements that I wasn't, like obviously we did a lot of those in college and we do at the gym still, but it wasn't in a box with like tape. So for some reason I was in my own head that I had to get out of this, not get out of this, but like I had to provide the best for our athletes, because as a coach, like I'm going to put in the effort to give you guys the best training possible because I expect you to give me effort back with your training. So I want to give you my best. And so last night I was laying in bed and I could not fall asleep just trying to think of all these movements that we could do that was going to be the best possible workout in 30 minutes. And then even this morning, you guys, literally for an hour and a half, you would think that I would know this like the back of my hand. I was totally like strategizing how I was going to make this the best possible.
And practicing. She's up
I was
jumping
practicing.
around.
I'm like,
it was hilarious. Listen,
like, and the kids were laughing at me,
the
thinking
kids
that I was
up and like wanted to jump around with her. And stuff.
I'm like, no, you guys, like, this is serious.
They're like, mom's up jumping on one leg. Like, I wanna go do that with her.
And you were down working out. You're probably up there listening, like, what the hell is going on upstairs? Because I can't imagine it was quiet. But I mean, any podcast, so it's like failure leads you to being the best you. And I'm totally about that. But nobody gets that to that point because nobody wants to fail at something. We all want to be comfortable with where we're at in life. But that's not going to get you to where you need to be. Definitely. And that's the same with effort. It's like, so the effort you put into a team training session. So if you give it 100% effort, we all know that sucks because you become out of breath. Your muscles are tired. It's an uncomfortable feeling, but that's the same way of getting out of your comfort zone to make you better than you were yesterday.
I completely agree. And
so it's just one of those things that I think that falls on to like each other because it's all about, you know, the effort you put into things. Yeah. And I mean, right now I feel like, as weird as it sounds, I feel like I'm a better mom right now because I'm putting more effort into spending more quality time with my kids, because when I was doing the businesses and stuff, I was just going through the motions of, okay, the kids are at home with me, we're going to play for 10 minutes and I have to get back to my job or the work. But now I'm like, you know what? Like, let's just make this fun. Let's go on a walk. Let's do these things that I never would have done because now is the time that I need to just soak up these moments before they're gone. Definitely. It's weird. I don't know. It's changed me to think like my whole perspective. Yeah. And everything is my effort that I'm putting into like
3 weeks ago perspective.
I know. It falls into place. I'm telling you what.
So we don't want to make this too long today, but we basically got 2 homework things, unless you have more to talk about. So we kind of wanted to go over the wow today. But so number 1, if you haven't already from last week, make a list of 5 things that you're already thankful for during this time. And we didn't make a safe word today. It was supposed to start with P. The guys wanted to start with P. Yeah. Penguin?
Sure.
All right. So during the time of Penguin, we want to make sure that we have that we're listing 5 things that we're thankful for. Also during this time, I want you to challenge yourself to give effort at something that brings you out of your comfort zone. So that may be working out. Like, there's a lot of people that and I'm super impressed with all of the people that have been doing the online training. Like, I've never done an online at-home training session before, and I know a lot of people out there have not done that prior to this, and the effort that it takes to get set up, to sign into Zoom,
for you to get set up, you have to have like the fucking disco light. So I mean,
no, but
it's a lot of effort on your end. A lot of people just put a little phone up and just go with it.
But what I'm saying is the effort that it takes to even like, because if my couch on a normal day, my couch is 2 feet away from me, guess what I'm not going to be doing? Working out in front of my couch. You know what I mean? And I think a lot of people are like that. But giving the effort in the middle of this penguin to get up and move is super important. And so, you know, I want this week, on top of the 5 things you're grateful for, if you haven't done that already, do that. But then this week also, you know, pick something that's going to take some effort. You know, take some, maybe it's something that has to do with business, and maybe it's because you have some other downtime. Maybe it's a second business, or maybe it's something else that you're passionate about that's going to take some research and some effort to actually look into. Maybe it's reading a book. Like, that takes effort to sit down and read a book. Jordan had put some effort into doing puzzles. You know, find something that's going to take effort and do it. and it might take you out of your comfort zone. It might force you to make a couple phone calls that you might not have made. But if you're doing that kind of stuff and you're getting out of your comfort zone and you're putting effort into an activity, then you're ultimately making yourself better one way or another. I mean, pick that activity this week and just do it. You know, there's a million, and I know it's super cliche, but it's like the guitar. I have extra time, so I'm going to learn how to play guitar. I think I heard that on like the morning news. And so like when Good Morning America says it, it makes me think it's like super cliche and like I don't want to repeat it, but at the same time it's kind of a decent example. I don't know how many people that actually want to do that, or maybe you want to play the piano or something. Like put some effort into something that you want to do, and do it.
And it might not even be something new. Like maybe it's just like effort on your relationship that you haven't had time to focus on because you've been so busy with other things in your life. So maybe it's the things you already have in your life that you always want more time for, but you don't have it, but now you do.
Definitely,
know? So maybe put effort on that.
Yeah. Like I put effort into doing the dishes, right? That's what I need to do.
Yeah, we need to talk about that.
I've already gone over that in this podcast about 100 times.
It's been a minute.
It's been a minute since what?
Since you've talked about it, probably. It's probably since you're at the gym, so at least 5 weeks ago.
Oh, yeah, at least 5 weeks. That's true.
We don't always,
and
shit hasn't changed.
I thought you said it's been a minute since I did the dishes. I was like, I'm pretty sure I did the dishes yesterday. Homie.
I think you should talk about this with Jordan and all the guys when I'm not there. That's probably a bet. So I can just listen and roll my eyes. That's probably the better idea for you.
All right, I'll take that as
because we're sitting way too close right now.
Right. If I'm within arm's length, I shouldn't be talking about doing the dishes. All right. Yeah. All right. Well, thank you guys.
That's it. We're done.
That's it.
There's no like couch potato or anything. I'm not that fun.
Unless you want to do couch, you got a couch potato? I like that. That's a good idea.
Well, we should talk about. I always have these ideas to watch things with you, but then I never follow through.
Yeah, definitely. You never follow through. So I end up watching them on my own.
All American, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
So the girls, some of my good friends, they said, "Oh, you need to watch All American. Watch it. It's such a good show." So I'm like, "All right, let's watch it." So we were probably 20 minutes into an episode because we were folding laundry. And then I haven't watched an episode since, but you're on like episode 6.
Yeah, probably.
So that's what always happens is like.
But that's the thing is like we watch it together, but you don't watch.
I don't. I get on my phone or I'm just doing other stuff. I just can't get into TV shows.
Yeah, and I don't think you can. Yeah. So anyway, yeah.
But couch potatoes. So that's
and this is funny because
but you don't really love it.
Right. I was watching it and I really don't even like it. It's a little young for me, and I think we talked about this on a previous podcast. But like the young high school love story just kind of doesn't hit home for me right now. But it's funny because I watched it for you because you wanted to watch it, and then
you're on episode 7 or
no, I'm on episode like 4.
4.
It was on episode 8 yesterday, so someone else on
and then it was funny
because
you turned on, you're like, "What the hell? Someone else is watching this," and I'm like,
"I know."
Are you mad about it?
It wasn't that I was mad. It was like I was just like, "Oh, someone else is on the same Netflix watching same password."
Try your brother.
Or I think there's like 19 other people on that password. So.
But I hear it's good. I don't know. I need to watch it. Maybe.
It's okay, but it's the high school football story. It's like a not funny Varsity
Blues. But you like funny, like our sense of humor is just different. I feel like you love Saturday Night Live, and I don't really think
that's a good couch potato. Saturday Night Live did a quarantine edition, and if you haven't seen it, go check it out. It's like Saturday Night Live is never super funny, but they have their funny moments. But it's like, so this is kind of follows that exact same trend. It's not super funny, but it has its funny moments. But it makes fun of like Zoom calls, and it does some different things like that. But it was super impressive with how low tech shit can be, and still be like have the content. Like it almost looked like a dress rehearsal because like what normally would be different characters, and they would normally be dressed up in a certain way. Like the actors and actresses didn't have their costumes at their house, so they like maybe put their hair up in a certain way or like styled their hair in a certain way to look like that character, but didn't have the costume. But you could tell that it was that character that was going through that. So it was pretty interesting because they did all of it, like all of it was shot either from like a Zoom screen or like shot with their own cameras and their own like cell phones and shit. So it was a really interesting show. I think it'll probably go down in history as an interesting show because it was the first ever probably quarantined self edition of Saturday Night Live, which is, I mean, I was glad they did it. They had Tom Hanks as the host, and so he, as everybody knows, he has had coronavirus,
is he
and
feeling
so
better?
yeah, he's completely he was asymptomatic. I think. I don't think he got it very bad.
That's
but
one thing is like all these actors and actresses that are freaking. They get in, get tested, they know right away. This shit pisses me off.
Why?
It's not fair.
I think if you're in Iowa, I think 99% of the people can get in, get tested, and figure it out right away.
Okay, I'm talking about 3 weeks ago.
The same thing. I think.
No, I do
and
not
in
think
maybe
so.
not in New York.
They get like Kim Kardashian, something about her. She got tested within like 2 hours. Like.
Oh, I have no idea on any of that.
All that shit's going on about actors, and if you have money, then you can.
Well, they had, but that's not much different than normal healthcare at any time. If I have millions of dollars, I get a better surgery than someone that doesn't. But it was interesting. They were talking about sports, and they basically tested like the entire NBA. One player on is it Nuggets? I can't remember. Anyway, one player on one team got tested positive, so they tested the entire team within like hours of that, and that was like day one. That was like week one, like early March, and so yeah, I mean, it was kind of the exact same thing. And it was funny. A podcast that I listened to was saying, "Oh, I have no problem with that. They can all test as long as they're playing. Like, turn sports back on." Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, test all of them, see if they are, and test them again and again and again. And if they can play, let them play. Right. Because I don't even
like the NBA, but I'd probably watch that shit now because I'm so bored.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing. Like,
so much.
But that
now
meme,
nothing would be on, right? Or would baseball?
Everything would be on. Baseball, basketball, NBA, basketball.
No, the college would be over.
XFL
filed for bankruptcy today.
Yeah, because
I know.
That's what happens when coronavirus hits your first season.
I'm just saying, like, what good sports are? I mean, not.
It'd be NBA basketball.
Which I don't love, but.
Hockey, golf is starting up.
I'd fall asleep. I don't know the rules.
Golf is starting up.
No, no. I just like volleyball.
Horse racing is the only thing.
I guess college football.
Horse racing. We could go out to still on.
We can go bet.
Yep.
Wait, the horse racing's still going on at the casino?
I don't know if at this local casino, but they have tracks racing.
Really? So when's the Kentucky Derby?
They actually moved the Kentucky Derby, though. They moved it to the first time ever.
Probably smart, because they've been rained out for... Well, not rained out, but...
They moved it to November, I believe. Yeah. Or,
November?
I think October, November, something like that.
Somewhere warm?
Kentucky.
Is Kentucky warm in November?
I don't know. Is it?
I mean, maybe.
It's kind of south. I'm not.
Kind of south.
I don't know.
Like,
I don't know their weather.
Siri.
You can check their weather.
Alexa.
But yeah, I think that what's his name? The commissioner of UFC. What's his name? Dana. I can't think of his name. Something Dana. Anyway, he was like, "Yeah, I'm just going to buy a private island, and we're going to fight on an island. We're just going to quarantine ourselves on an island, and everybody's going to fight. We're going to have a pay-per-view that way. Not a bad idea. If everybody can get tested."
It says the first snowfall of winter usually arrives in December, sometimes November, and even October.
In Kentucky?
Yeah.
So maybe it's... I don't know the exact date. Check it out real quick. Google when the Kentucky Derby is moved to.
So you think, like football, so college football, probably
I would bet that
So they won't move
doesn't.
it back. It'll just be like, we're done this year and we're not.
No. The NCAA is way too greedy and needs their money off of free labor to get. I don't think they may postpone it. They may not have early stuff. It's all up in the air right now. I hope they have it. The NFL will probably like not have their preseason games and again, the NFL, all those athletes will probably have
September
ready.
5th.
September 5th is when it's moved to? Okay, cool. Kentucky Derby, September 5th. But yeah, football will be interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Baseball's going to continue to be interesting. All the sports, and I think that it's interesting because the best time to have sports would be when everyone is quarantined. You know what I mean? Like everybody wants to watch something live that makes you feel like you're connected with something right now.
But then they don't want to play without spectators,
Yeah, they've talked about. I mean, initially basketball was all going to do the tournament with no fans.
Wouldn't that be
NBA was going to do their stuff with no fans.
That'd just be weird.
Yeah. It'd be, and that's the cool thing. So they were talking about with golf, like they may start golfing here relatively quickly, but they wouldn't have any fans. They'd be followed around by just their normal cameras and maybe like their like drones and stuff. And that's one that if I was watching, other than like big moment putt by whoever's leading, I probably wouldn't be able to notice too much.
Because everything's so quiet anyways.
Because you're quiet when you're shooting.
But I think any other sport. Or tennis would be fine.
Brooks Koepka, he was talking about how it would maybe be a little bit different because like the fans help spot balls and different things like that if you hit it out of bounds and stuff like that. I thought that podcast that I listened to, I did an interview with him getting ready for this season. But the other thing that they're going to do, I think, since the season is shorter, they're going to have a lot of majors like back to back to back to back, which is fine because that's not demanding on their bodies. Right. Yeah. Yeah. So they can shorten their seasons and just have their majors right away. So
interesting.
Yep. So hopefully we're on the decline. I think. What do they call it? The apex. Yeah. I think New York and all of the big cities.
Holy shit! New York got hit hard.
Has already hit all of those. I think Iowa's have already reached our peak, which hopefully on the downturn, and we can hopefully get out of this and Penguin can be a thing of the past. I think it probably will be a season. Most of the experts are saying that this will be a seasonal thing. So you'll, similar to like the flu season where, you'll just have to be aware of it for the rest of our lives now. And hopefully get antibodies and be able to have some. So
it's like the swine flu.
Yeah.
That's never come back, right?
Flu is flu.
Is that what that means?
H something N something. Like.
Wait, so the swine flu is the same as like.
It was a new strain of the flu.
Oh.
The swine flu was a new strain of the flu from pigs.
And this is supposedly from animals, but it's
from
not.
Bats.
Dogs. Bats?
Yes. I believe that they think it's from bats. There's a whole bunch of conspiracies and stuff out there.
But it's not like, so you're saying it's not one of those ones that just came and now it's going to go away. It's going to always come around.
Yeah, I think that now it's like the flu.
My worry
like
is,
there's strains and strains and
so
strains of the
they
flu.
release frickin' everyone from quarantine and we all go out to the zoo and we go out to the mall. Like,
I think you would be surprised how many people now are socially distanced is just burned into their mind, and they stay socially distanced even though they're trying to go about their normal lives. They just stay socially distanced.
Or they're maybe more sanitary.
And they wash their hands better. They don't touch their face. But
I'm terrified. Like when we can go do things now, it's like it scares me and I'm sure some people are like that, but. I'm also sick of being inside, but my thing is like, so you break that freaking growth on where it was, so then we're coming back down, but then when we can all go out, who's to say it's not going to freaking get so high because we're all out and about again?
Yeah.
with how
And that's
fast
definitely,
it's
I think that's definitely a possibility. And that's the thing that I think most of the experts that I've listened to are saying that until we get a vaccine or until we get medication that we know treats exactly what it is, then we kind of have to just wait till those things happen,
right.
and the penguin will keep disturbing life as we know it until those things happen, which I think they're kicking around 18 months for a vaccine or something, which is unheard of.
A year.
Which, I mean, that's unheard of, though. Like, most vaccines are like 5 years. Yeah. They take like 5 years to develop. So it's interesting stuff. I mean, I'm sure everybody has listened to 1,000 different things, and there's 1,000 different conspiracy theories and all this kind of stuff. And I think for us, we don't want to dive too deep into all of that, but I think for us, the main thing is how can we stay physically and mentally healthy during this time and react to what's going on the best that we can, so that's what we're here for. So anything else going on?
I don't think so.
Good combo.
It was. You guys put me on the spot. See what happens. Just let loose.
You just talked this time instead of not talking.
Well, last time I was making up the workout for the next day.
I know. You were just putting effort in.
And you guys were just nailing it.
You were
so
just
I didn't
putting
have
effort
to
in. I like
talk.
that. All right, good. So again, stay up with our social media, and we will have all the deets for everything that we got going on right now. And remember, you're an athlete. Live like it.
Whoop.
Born an athlete, you'll die an athlete. It's in your DNA.
Live like an athlete so that you can be successful in life.
You're an athlete. Live like it.
ANA, America needs athletes.